Part 19. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbo. Chapter 181. It seems that this blood can exist independently of the arm. Will it have any special effect on evil spirits? The space in the gap is not big, and it is impossible to stand normally, but it is extremely convenient for I possessed by the wolf soul to move. The appearance of the 9 layers thunder art instantly made the wolf soul feel fear. He bared his teeth at me and growled lowly. I hold the 9 layers thunder art in my hand, but I have been reluctant to take action, because if I hurt the wolf soul, it will definitely hurt my physical body. This 9 layers of thunder juice serves as a deterrent. I pressed closer and closer towards the me possessed by the wolf soul. I was thinking in my head about how to extract the wolf soul from my body. When my eyes met those of the wolf soul, I was stunned for a moment. The eyes are vicious and ferocious, which is what a beast should have. But I saw an anthropomorphic look in wolf soul's eyes. Just when I was stunned, the wolf spirit possessed me and ran past my feet. I quickly stretched out my left hand to grab it, and by chance, the grab directly grabbed my physical ankle. The wolf soul was extremely powerful, pulling me forward as hard as I could. Seeing that I was about to be dragged out of the gap, I put away the 9 layers of thunder technique that deterred the wolf soul, and grabbed my ankles with both hands. The moment the soul-stealing bloody hand touched my ankle, my body froze as my body was seized by the wolf soul, and I lost feeling in my right foot, but other parts of his body could still move. I was stunned for a moment, and a bold guess came to my mind. I stretched out my right index finger and wiped a handful of the scarlet blood on my other ankle. Instantly my left foot lost feeling. I looked overjoyed when I saw this scene. It turns out that despite the ability of this bloody hand to extract souls, the blood actually has the effect of trapping souls. This ability is simply too incredible. Wolf Soul's legs lost the ability to move, and he could only crawl forward step by step with his hands on his hands. The soul-stealing blood hand has been used for such a long time and there has been no backlash of evil energy. I speculate that this may have something to do with me being in the sky coffin. Since there is no backlash, it also gives me more room to operate. I turned my fist into a claw and attacked my chest. The bloody hand sank into my chest, and I grabbed the wolf's soul. I condensed my expression and used all my strength to pull it away. A moment later, I actually held the soul of a wolf in my right hand. It looked at me with ferocious eyes. "Steal my body, and I won't make it easy for you." I pinched its neck tightly, using my hands hard, and the wolf soul kept wailing. Next, a scene that surprised me happened. The wolf soul actually spoke human words. Its animal mouth opened slightly and said to me, You locked us up here, and you are the one who should pay the price the most." Immediately afterwards, the wolf soul's soul was instantly shattered, and a wolf howl resounded throughout the world. Seeing this scene, a bad feeling came to my mind. I quickly came to my body and used my bloody hands to return my soul to its place. After regaining my body, I didn't have time to think too much. I came to the edge of the gap and looked towards the abyss beneath me. The world in my eyes has changed, and the blood moon has returned to normal. The bright and miserable moonlight poured down, coating the entire mountain with a layer of silvery white. In this way, I can also see the hanging coffin next to the cliff more clearly. Bang bang bang. The sound of a coffin being opened filled the air. There were a few sounds at first, and then countless sounds, one after another, which made people feel frightened. I could clearly see countless hanging coffins being opened on the cliff, and then the coffin lids rolled along the cliff into the abyss. I was shocked. This was terrible. If all the hanging coffins were opened, the consequences would be disastrous. I had no hesitation in removing the vines climbing the cliff. I took the vine and came to Xia 11's body. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbo. Chapter 182. I moved Xia 11's body out of the coffin. I tied the vines to Sia-11's delicate body and planned to carry it behind my back. Looking at Sia-11's pretty face, I suddenly remembered something. Sia-11's soul was out of body at this time. It would be very easy for other souls to take over her body. In order to prevent the situation from happening again, I can only use some small measures. Sia-11 was wearing a white t-shirt. She had taken off the t-shirt because of the alternation of heat and cold in the coffin. She has a flat and white belly without any trace of fat, a slim waist and a graceful figure. He was wearing a pair of denim hot pants, and the stockings had already become untied due to walking in the mountains. I took a deep breath and reached out my hand to gently remove the last fig leaf from Sia-11's body. I bit my index finger and drew a spell on Sia-11's delicate body. Soon, Sia-11's fair body was covered with bright red spells. This spell is called body binding, which can seal the contact between the physical body and the external spirit body, so that other lonely ghosts cannot take Sia-11's body. I put on Sia-11's clothes in a hurry, hoping that she wouldn't blame me when she returns to her soul. I carried Sia-11 behind my back and used vines to secure her tightly. When I got out of the crack in the cliff, the sight before me made me break out in a cold sweat. Under the night, countless black shadows climbed up the cliff. Through the outlines of these black shadows, I could tell what they were. These shadows include monkeys, cats, mice, and even people. The sheer number is mind-numbing. In addition, the sea of clouds under the cliff was constantly churning, and groups of black shadows were attacking me like arrows from the string. Now I must find Sia-11's soul as soon as possible, and then find the source of the evil star before I can leave here. However, I don't know where Sia-11's soul is now. Etc. I seem to have overlooked something important. I looked at the gap between the cliffs below me, and an idea came to my mind. I didn't dare to neglect and climbed along the vines to the gap between them. As soon as I regained my footing, a dark figure rushed towards me, and I dodged away. And the black shadow fell directly into the cliff due to inertia. The coffin in this gap has been opened by me before. The body in the coffin has come to life at this moment. In front of me, there are sheep, dogs, and pigs. The carcasses of these animals have begun to rot, and the air is filled with a disgusting stench. Their eyes are flashing red, staring at me. I saw an anthropomorphic look in the eyes of these beasts. Is it possible that there are human souls living in the corpses of these animals? I couldn't think too much, and these animals rushed towards me like crazy. For a moment, the angry sounds of various animals echoed in my ears. I held the seal of the 9 layers Thunder Jew in my right hand and recited the spell silently in my mind. Crackling. Blue thunder and lightning spread from my palm. Thunder and lightning flashed, and the air shook. I raised my right hand and swatted at the dog corpse closest to me. Boom. Thunder and lightning instantly spread from my palm to the whole body of the dog corpse. The dog corpse was blown away directly by me. This move completely angered these animals. They bared their teeth and claws, and rushed towards me with bared teeth. I felt a little dazed for a moment, as if I was not facing an animal, but a human being. I responded hastily. Fortunately, these animals were not too difficult to deal with. I eliminated them all in 3 strokes, 5 by 5, and 2. After doing this, go to the coffin that previously contained the hen body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 183. I activated the soul-stealing bloody hand again. Scarlet blood instantly spread to my entire arm. I gently placed my bloody hand on the hen's body, and it instantly disappeared into the hen's body. I squeezed it hard with my right hand, and sure enough I caught something. I looked happy, I guessed it right. I used all my strength to extract the soul from the hen's body. When the whole soul appeared in front of me, I couldn't help but screamed, Sci-11. Sci-11's eyes were filled with tears, her nose was slightly raised, and her red lips were trembling. She fell into my arms and started sobbing. Whoa! I thought you gave up on me. Sci-11 is in a soul state, but she doesn't know how to control her soul's blur. So, I can still hold her. I patted Sci-11's back and comforted her, it's okay, it's okay. Sci-11 raised her head and looked at me aggrievedly. When you came, I thought you would come to save me, but you took one look at me and left. Sci-11 started complaining to me non-stop. I'm deeply sorry for that, too. The soul-chasing technique did not fail, but succeeded. Sci-11's soul was sealed in the hen's body. As for how it was sealed, I don't know. I quickly put Sci-11's body on the ground. When Sci-11 saw her body, she was frightened. I briefly explained the current situation to her. Sci-11 nodded after listening. Under my instructions, Sci-11 slowly lay down towards her body. However, her soul could not merge with her body. Lusu, what's going on? I slapped my head. How could I have forgotten this matter? I subconsciously reached out and took off Sci-11's clothes. When Sci-11 saw it, she exclaimed, Lusu, what are you going to do? I looked a little embarrassed and told Sci-11 about the body binding technique I drew for her. After hearing this, Sci-11's face froze and she looked at me blankly. She pointed at her body, then at me, and stammered, I scratched my head in embarrassment and said, there is nothing we can do about it. If you want to enter your body, you must wipe off the body binding technique. Sci-11 nodded slightly, and I continued what I had just done. But when I just lifted Sci-11's t-shirt to her lower abdomen, Sci-11 suddenly stopped me. Lusu. Wait. I looked at Sci-11 with some confusion. Sci-11 squatted down, raised her face and said, I will do it myself. Her eyes kept dodging, not daring to look at me at all. I stood up and said, okay. Sci-11 bit her lip lightly and said again, turn around. The corners of my mouth twitched slightly, it seemed like she thought I was a lecher. I turned around and heard a rustling sound behind me. After a while, Sci-11 said, Lusu, how should I get in? I subconsciously wanted to turn around, but as soon as I turned my head, Sci-11 shyly shouted, don't turn around. I sighed and could only repeat what I just said again. After saying that, there was no movement on Sci-11's side. After about 5 or 6 seconds, there was another rustling sound in her ears. It seems that Sci-11 has successfully entered the soul. Lusu, I'm fine. I turned around. Sci-11 lowered her eyes, not daring to look at me. 2 blushes appeared on her fair cheeks, which was very cute. That's good, let's get out of here quickly. I stretched out my hand, pulled Sci-11 and walked out of the gap. The moment I just poked my head out, the wind roared in my ears. I raised my eyes, and countless black shadows came into my eyes. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 184. Countless birds surrounded Sci-11 and me. The flesh of these birds is rotten, their feathers are dirty and torn, their claws are turned into white bones, their beaks are extremely sharp, like sickles, their wings are fluttering, and their eyes are full of cruelty and bloodthirsty. I protected Sci-11 behind me, thunder and lightning flashed in the palm of my right hand. Not daring to neglect, I hit the birds in front of me with one palm. Thunder and lightning exploded, and the birds hovering around me were instantly defeated by the lightning and turned into scum. I pulled Sci-11 to the path beside the cliff. The corpses in the hanging coffins have all risen. They are climbing up the cliff and will be by my side in a short time. Now I must find the soul-suppressing coffin as soon as possible, and then completely integrate the source of the evil star into my life palace. Lusu, Sci-11 suddenly shouted to me. I turned to look at her and saw her pointing to another path and saying, "Can we go this way?" I looked in the direction Sci-11 pointed and was slightly startled. When did there be an extra road here? Not allowing me to think too much, a black shadow like a wave of hesitation pressed towards me. Walk. We ran wildly along the path, with black shadows following behind us, and roars that kept ringing in our ears. The hanging coffins here range from 1,000 to 800. This scale of corpse tide is not something I can handle alone. We must get out of here as soon as possible. This path that appeared out of thin air leads to the top of the cliff. The trail is narrow but not rough. As I was running, I suddenly heard monkey calls from behind me. The voice was hoarse and penetrating. Rub 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 rub. Countless shadows rushed past me. I quickly stopped because these ghosts were blocking my way forward. When I saw clearly what these ghosts looked like, my hair stood on end instantly. I don't know what to call these monsters, so I can only use monkeys instead for the time being. There are 7 or 8 of these monkeys, each of them is 1.8 meters tall, burly, with a human face and a monkey body, and they look very scary. I have seen monkey people online, but I have never seen a human monkey. These big monkeys bared their teeth and looked fiercely at us. I will protect Sci-11 behind me, but today I want to see what kind of existence these monsters are. I activated the soul-stealing blood hand, and the scarlet and dazzling blood instantly spread to my entire right arm. I rushed in front of the monkeys, turned my palms into claws, and grabbed the big monkey closest to me. Unprepared, I caught the big monkey with a human face and a monkey body. The bloody hand instantly sank into the big monkey's body. I held it in the air and held its soul in my hand. A howl resounded through the night sky, and the big monkey's soul was pulled away from me. The big monkey's body immediately collapsed to the ground, decaying at a speed visible to the naked eye. When I saw clearly the soul I was holding in my hand, I froze on the spot. It's actually a person. It seems that I guessed right. All the animal corpses in the hanging coffin are human souls. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The soul I am holding makes a monkey cry. I was slightly startled. It was clearly a human soul, but the cry it made was actually that of a monkey. It seems that they have lost themselves, given up their identity as humans, and completely reduced themselves to animals. The big monkeys around me saw their compatriots being caught by me, and they jumped up and down one by one, looking very manic. They hesitated and finally chose to attack me. My face turned cold, and I used my right hand to crush the soul in my hand. I don't intend to hold back, because there are not many existences like this. If the Holy Mother's heart attacks, it is very likely that Sci-11 and I will fall into a state of eternal doom. I pinched the seal of the 9 layers Thunder Jew, and then activated the ability of the soul-stealing blood hand. The scarlet blood instantly spread to the thunder and lightning, and the bloody thunderbolt looked particularly charming and strange in the dark night. The power of the soul-stealing blood hand is powerful. As long as I can use it, my strength will definitely be greatly improved, but the premise is that the blood hand will not backfire. Looking at the big monkey charging towards me, I raised my blood-red thunderbolt and struck it without any hesitation. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 185. The power brought by the 9 layers of thunder art blessed by the blood of the soul-seizing blood hand is huge. Wherever the bloody lightning struck, the souls in the body were blasted out, and the damage caused to the souls was unimaginable. Several souls actually dissipated on the spot. With just one blow, these big monkeys were seriously injured, and no one dared to step forward for a while. I didn't dare to neglect, so I quickly took Sci-11's hand and ran up the path. Along the way, birds and animals kept harassing me, but I eliminated them one by one. Soon, Sci-11 and I reached the end of the path. At the end of the path is the cliff top, which is relatively wide compared to the winding and narrow mountains. I looked around and suddenly found that the full moon in the sky was much closer to me, as if I could touch it. At this moment, Sia-11 suddenly pointed in a direction and said, "Lucio, look. There is a small house there." I looked in the direction Sia-11 pointed, and sure enough, a clear outline caught my eye. I could only see a corner of the small house, but from this corner I could tell it was a temple. On the cliff, a solitary temple stood quietly in the moonlight, and a sense of desolation and scruple filled my heart. "Let's go take a look." Sia-11 and I quickened our pace and soon arrived in front of the small temple. Next to the small temple, there are overgrown grass and broken walls, a dilapidated scene. Walking into it, the small temple has been in disrepair for a long time, the idols have been destroyed, and the gods it worships cannot be seen. The night wind blows, and it is desolate. Spider webs were woven, the palace collapsed, the incense burner fell over, and it was a ruined scene. There was a coffin placed in the middle of the small temple. When I saw the coffin clearly, I looked overjoyed. Soul coffin. Sia-11 and I looked at each other and saw disbelief in each other's eyes. I came to the soul-suppressing coffin and gently touched the body of the coffin. A bone-chilling chill spread through my palms to my limbs. I looked at Sia-11 and told her, "Hide yourself later and don't come out no matter what happens." Sia-11 nodded heavily, and said with a worried look on her face, "Lucio, don't worry, I won't hold you back, but you must also pay attention to your safety." I smiled at Sia-11 without saying anything, activated my soul-stealing bloody hand, and stretched out my index finger to draw a spell on the soul-suppressing coffin. In a moment, the soul-suppressing coffin was covered with dense bloody spells. I took a deep breath, came to the end of the coffin, and pushed the lid of the soul-suppressing coffin hard. The rustling sound made by the friction between the coffin lid and the coffin eaves was extremely harsh in the silent night. As my hand moved, a gap caught my eye. Before I could continue to push the coffin lid, a strong force blew the coffin lid away. I stepped back continuously, and a ball of black energy appeared from the soul-suppressing coffin. The black energy turned into a human form. Although he had no facial features, I could clearly feel him staring at me. This black energy seems to contain all the negative emotions in the world, which is ominous and scary. "Boy, you actually pushed me to this point." The eerie voice of the evil star's origin reached my ears, and I shuddered unconsciously. I said nothing and looked at it warily. The source of the evil star continued, "Here it is again. I finally escaped. I'm back here again." This time the evil star's origin voice was full of anger and unwillingness. "Boy. This is all your fault. It's all your fault. You sealed us here. We finally escaped but you caught us back." The voice of the evil star's origin was full of anger and malice. "I'm going to kill you. Kill you." As soon as he finished speaking, the source of the evil star rushed out of the coffin. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 186. I squeezed the secrets with both hands and shouted loudly. In an instant, the soul-suppressing coffin was filled with blood, and countless slender blood threads instantly burst out from the coffin wall, trapping the source of the evil star firmly in the coffin. "Boy. You are playing dirty tricks again." I raised a sneer at the corner of my mouth and said, "A dirty trick? There is no need to be moral when dealing with a ghost like you." I suddenly stretched out my bloody right hand and grabbed at the black air. The human form transformed by the black energy struggled desperately, but it couldn't break away from the soul-binding technique I used. Soul-binding technique, Gu Mingxi thought, imprisons a person's soul. With the soul-binding technique of lengthening the blood of the soul-stealing blood hand, it is even more powerful and impossible to break free. No. No. You can't do this. You have imprisoned me for thousands of years. You can't do this. I stopped talking nonsense and directly penetrated the black air with my soul-stealing blood hand. This time, I want you to disappear completely. I grasped it in the void, and the soul of the evil star was caught in my hand. No. No. The source of the evil star roared heartbreakingly. I turned a blind eye and listened without hearing, and used all my strength to pull away the soul of the evil star. Just when I was about to pull out the original soul of the evil star, the tapping sound of wooden fish suddenly sounded in my ears. Dong dong dong. The sound was silent and long, and every strike made my heart tremble. Lucio. Be careful. Sia-11's frightened screams instantly overwhelmed the tapping of the wooden fish and reached my ears. Immediately afterwards, I felt a pain in my neck, as if I had been bitten by something. Suddenly, my eyes turned black and my limbs became weak, but even so, I refused to let go of the soul of Qingyang evil star. Amitabha. This sentence of Amitabha is sonorous and powerful, with ups and downs, deeply rooted in people's hearts and dispelling all distracting thoughts in their hearts. What you up to? Sia-11's voice came from behind me. Donor, this poor monk has no ill intentions. He just wants to meet the benefactor behind you. You're talking nonsense. Since you want to see him, why did you let the children bite him? Finally, overwhelmed, I let go of my right hand holding the source of the evil star and collapsed to the ground. Sia-11 quickly came to my side and helped me up. My right eye felt swollen and bulging, as if it might explode at any time. In addition, my limbs were weak, and the pain from the evil spirit spreading into my body spread to my whole body again. What exactly is going on? In the sky coffin, I should not be affected by the evil spirit entering my body when using my bloody hands, but now. I struggled to open my left eye, and everything I looked at was blurry. In the blur, I saw a monk wearing red cassocks, holding a Zen staff and standing quietly not far away. Without my restraint, the source of the evil star burst out in an instant, breaking free from the restraints of the soul binding technique. The black energy floated to the side of the monk. Because of the evil spirit entering my body, I was shaking all over. Lucio, are you okay? I wanted to give Sia-11 an answer, but now I simply can't do it. How did you come? The voice of the evil star's origin reached my ears. Then came the monk's voice. I just came to see him. The source of the evil star sneered and said, don't think that I don't know what you are planning. Don't forget that we can't attack him in the sky coffin. Ha ha ha, if I hadn't come, wouldn't you have died long ago? The two of them actually knew each other. Who knows the evil star Qingyang? That must be other evil stars in the sky coffin. I struggled to stand up, suppressing the discomfort caused by my body, and asked coldly, what do you want to do? Qingyang Shaxing didn't speak, it was the monk who answered me. The poor monk just said that he just wanted to see you and see how far his reincarnation has grown. At this moment, a warm current came out of nowhere in my body, and I drove away the coldness and pain in my body. It's the 8-character blood evil. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 187. Su Tianqian is urging the 8-character blood evil to reduce my pain. Soon, the pain all over my body disappeared. I suddenly discovered that I was blind in my right eye. I took a deep breath to calm the panic in my heart. This was not the time to think about this. Although I can no longer see my right eye, I can still rely on my left eye. This time I finally saw the monk clearly. The pupil of my left eye instantly dilated and contracted, and my body trembled subconsciously. The monk is wearing a red cassock, tall and holding a Zen staff. His dress is normal, but that's just his appearance. The monk in front of me has two faces. The monk's face on the right side has a majestic appearance, kind eyes, and the right eye is bright and wise. The face on the left is the complete opposite, ugly, with a green face and fangs, and the left eye is full of murderous intent and coldness. The monk is like a combination of good and evil. This reminds me of the two-faced Buddha of good and evil. The monk looked a little surprised when he saw that I had returned to normal. Oh. It seems that there are experts protecting you. The origin of Qingyang Evil Star said to the double-faced Buddha of good and evil, "Help me escape from here, and then we will work together to destroy him and snatch his luck and body." Hearing this, my expression instantly became alert. I can already confirm that the good and evil double-faced Buddha in front of me is one of the 9 evils. If the 2 evil stars join forces, I'm afraid I have no chance of winning. The double-faced Buddha of good and evil slowly turned his head and said, "Why? Wouldn't it be better for you to die and for me to possess everything about him alone?" His voice changed, it was no longer the melodious, clear, and zen-like voice just now, but a voice full of murderous intent and coldness. "You." Qingyang Evil Star was speechless. He turned his body transformed from black energy to me and said word by word, "Boy, if I want to leave today, you can't stop me. When I go out, you're death." After saying that, his figure flashed and turned into a wisp of black mist floating towards the outside of the temple. I quickly chased after him, and I absolutely couldn't let him leave. When I rushed out of the small temple, the sight in front of me stopped me and I subconsciously took a step back. In front of me were the carcasses of countless animals, so dark that it made my scalp numb. Qingyang Evil Star origin also stopped escaping. How is this possible?" His voice was full of fear and disbelief. The corpses of those animals seemed to have been injected with blood when they saw Qingyang Evil Star, with anger flashing in their scarlet eyes. After the beasts roared, the beasts launched an attack on Qingyang Evil Star. I stepped back continuously to keep some distance from these crazy beasts. Qingyang Evil Star was instantly overwhelmed by the herd of beasts, and the sound of bites could not be heard. Of course, this was also mixed with the miserable howls of wild beasts. I am blind in my right eye, which makes my vision somewhat blocked, but I still try hard to pay attention to the situation on the other side of the herd. The fight between the beast herd and Qingyang Evil Star lasted for about 3 minutes. The corpses of countless beasts were turned into ashes, and their souls were scattered. Qingyang Evil Star was not much better. He retreated towards the small temple while fighting. Invisibly, the distance between me and him was infinitely closer. I picked up the seal of the 9 layers of Thunder Dew with my right hand and stacked it to the first level. After a moment of hesitation, I exerted my force again and stacked it towards the second level. Boom! Thunder rumbled in the air, and blue arcs of electricity emerged from my palms. This time the thunder and lightning were thicker than the previous ones. They jumped in my palm and surrounded me. I actually successfully stacked it to the second level. I activated the power of the soul-stealing blood hand again, and scarlet blood clung to the electric arc. Seeing the opportunity, I rushed towards the beast herd. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 188. The power brought by the second-level thunder technique, coupled with the blood of the soul-stealing blood hand, is huge. Wherever it passed, the beast corpses were affected. It ranges from being seriously injured and falling to the ground, to being seriously injured and losing consciousness. In the blink of an eye, I was behind Qingyang Shaxing. He turned around suddenly, never expecting that I would suddenly attack. I yelled, raised the thunder weapon in my hand, and slapped him hard. Boom! Qingyang Evil Star was beaten by me. The black mist disappeared instantly, and in the dissipating black mist, I saw a little light. It's him. I used the soul-stealing bloody hand to directly grab the light, and directly penetrated the bloody hand through my chest. I can't feel the slightest pain, because the soul-stealing blood hand can directly penetrate the body. I let go of the light in my hand and pulled out the bloody hand. I trembled all over and felt an extra force coming out of thin air in my body. I looked around, and the beast corpses were still staring at me. I don't know why they suddenly attacked Qingyang Evil Star, but their actions undoubtedly helped me. Suddenly, a figure floated past me like a ghost. It's the double-faced Buddha of good and evil. He held a Zen staff and stood with his hands behind his back. A look of surprise appeared on his two different faces. I can't believe it. I can't believe that you have grown to such an extent. I looked at the double-faced Buddha of good and evil coldly and asked, "What did you do to my right eye?" The corners of the good and evil Buddha's lips raised, and he replied, "I just took back what belongs to me." Something that belongs to you. I suddenly thought of my experience when I was just born. All five senses were lost, all limbs were destroyed, and now I took back my right hand from the hands of the evil star Qingyang. Could it be that this right eye was what the double-faced Buddha of good and evil in front of me took from my hand? Interesting, very interesting. I retreated step by step as if facing a formidable enemy. I almost lost my life against one evil star. Now another one has come. What should I do? Seeing how nervous I was, the good and evil double-faced Buddha laughed loudly and said, "Ha ha ha. Don't be nervous, even if a poor monk wants to attack you here, it is impossible. The purpose of the good and evil double-faced Buddha is the same as that of the evil star Qingyang. They both want to rob me of my life and body. Obviously, the monk in front of me is more difficult to deal with than Qingyang Evil Star. He gives me a sinister, cunning, smiling Buddha feeling." The good and evil double-faced Buddha looked at me with a smile, and the two of us faced each other like this, neither of us speaking. Finally, the double-faced Buddha of good and evil laughed loudly, and his body turned into dots of starlight and slowly disappeared. Seeing this scene, he immediately froze on the spot. This is a ray of soul. In other words, the good and evil double-faced Buddha that just stood in front of me is not his true body. Cunning guy. The majestic and solemn voice of the good and evil double-faced Buddha sounded in the night sky. The day when the 5 suns are in a row will be the day of your death. By then, the entire Tianfu city will cease to exist. After hearing this, my expression became extremely serious. The arrival of the double-faced Buddha of good and evil gave me a sense of crisis. Obviously, he is different from Qingyang Evil Star. Qingyang Evil Star is constantly looking for Qinjiangxing, intending to use his body to resurrect his soul. The good and evil double-faced Buddha already has a physical body. This is very troublesome. After the good and evil double-faced Buddha disappeared, the surrounding beasts began to become restless again. I stepped back step by step, approaching the small temple. At this moment, there were sudden loud noises in the sky. I looked up and the view above subverted my understanding of the world. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 189. I saw the outline of another world emerging in the dark night sky. There are mountains, water, and houses. In other words, there is another world above the world I am in. This dreamy and magical scene amazed me. At this moment, Xia 11's shout pulled me back from the shock. "Lusu! Run! They are approaching you." I trembled all over and looked around. Countless beast corpses were running towards me. I looked in the direction of the small temple and ran like crazy. The number of these beast corpses is simply too great, and it is impossible to completely eliminate them. Besides, my current goal has been achieved, and there is no need to stay here. I ran to the small temple and closed the old wooden door tightly with my backhand. Xia 11 also looked a little panicked at this moment. Her originally rosy face was extremely pale at the moment. Her lips and eyes trembled slightly, and she asked with some panic, "Lusu, what should we do?" I looked at the soul-suppressing coffin and said to Xia 11, "Follow me." I took Xia 11 to the soul-crushing coffin. I asked Xia 11 to lie down, and then I pressed on her delicate body. Take out your copper coins and let's touch them. After hearing this, Xia11 quickly followed the instructions. She took out the copper coins from her neck, and I also held mine in my hands. Jingle. The copper coins collided and made a crisp impact sound. At the same time, the door of the small temple was also violently knocked open by the beast corpses. Countless beast corpses swarmed towards the soul coffin. Just when these monsters were about to pounce into the soul-suppressing coffin, I felt a sudden spin, and then the surroundings fell into endless darkness. Quiet, deathly quiet. Xia11 and I could hear each other's breathing and heartbeats. Xia11 was so overwhelmed by me that she couldn't breathe. She asked softly, "Lu Su, what happened?" I didn't know how to explain it to Xia11, so I could only comfort him, "We seem to have escaped." After saying that, I raised my right hand and gently tapped the coffin wall. The space inside the soul-suppressing coffin is very small, and the action of tapping the coffin wall becomes extremely difficult at this moment. After about a dozen pats, the coffin lid made a rustling sound. I felt happy, it seemed that my guess was correct. The soul-suppressing coffin and the double coffin are both passages connecting the sky coffin to the real world. The reason why Xia11 and I were able to break out of the coffin is actually very simple. That is, the double coffin is an ordinary coffin. The soul-suppressing coffin suppresses the soul. Therefore, Qingyang Evil Star cannot escape. The sound of the coffin lid rubbing against the coffin eaves became louder and louder, and a beam of warm light shone in the coffin. Then I heard Wu 11's unique broken gong voice. Holy crap! They're actually in here. Wu 11 sped up his movements and completely opened the soul-suppressing coffin. Xia 11 and I climbed out of the soul coffin one after another. Everyone stood quietly beside the soul-suppressing coffin. I looked around and finally focused on Su Tianxian. When our eyes met, I could clearly see Su Tianxuan's nervous eyes gradually becoming more relaxed. "Master!" I shouted softly. Su Tianxuan's usually plain pretty face finally showed a smile. Although the corners of her mouth were only slightly raised, it was so beautiful that it was shocking. She nodded slightly and said softly, "Well done." Ruoheng and others also hurriedly came forward to express their condolences. When Ruoheng saw my right eye, her expression instantly became dull. She pointed at my eye and asked in shock, "Lu Su, what's wrong with your eye?" I sighed slightly and replied, "It's a long story." Wu 11 took off his evil ghost mask, and his handsome face was full of solemnity. He said, "Your eyes have no pupils, no eyes, and are just pitch black." Wu 11's words gave me a picture in my mind. Su Tianxian also frowned, and she said to me, "This is not the place to talk. Let's leave first." Everyone nodded. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 190. Before leaving here, Su Tianxian asked Wu 11 to lead people to carry the soul-suppressing coffin back to Jiyuntang. A group of coffin bearers lifted the soul coffin again, and we returned along the original route. After leaving the ancient tomb, it was still dark outside, with the bright moon hanging high in the night sky and the stars dotted there. I was not in the mood to appreciate such beautiful scenery. The matter of Qingyang Evil Star has been solved, but there will be bigger troubles next. Also returning to Jiyuntang was Huaxiu. Huaxiu stood in front of the door and hesitated. She seemed to be a little afraid of Jiyuntang. Su Tianxian asked Wu 11 to carry the soul-suppressing coffin into a room on the second floor. Ruoheng and Wu 11 then left Jiyuntang. Xia 11 originally wanted to go home, but was left behind by Su Tianxian. Su Tianxian said to me, "I know you must have a lot of doubts. I will answer these doubts for you one by one tomorrow, so you should go and have a good rest now." I nodded and walked towards the second floor. When I was going upstairs, I stopped and looked back at Xia 11, only to see Su Tianxian talking to Xia 11. I vaguely heard the word painted skin. But I didn't think much about it, walked to the second floor, returned to my room and fell asleep. The next day, I slept until the afternoon before getting up. I stretched and came to the mirror. I look much better in the mirror, no longer as haggard as last night. But when my right eye turned as dark as ink, I let out a long sigh. I walked out of the room and was about to go downstairs when I found the door to a room wide open. The room exuded a strong gloomy air. I had never been to this room before, so I couldn't suppress my curiosity and walked in. A familiar coffin caught my eye. It's the soul coffin. Just when I stepped into the room, a figure suddenly sat up from the soul coffin. I was taken aback by surprise. When I saw the person clearly, I let out a long sigh of relief. It's Hwashiu. Hwashiu's beautiful eyes glanced at me, and then he lay back in the soul coffin without saying anything. It turns out that the soul-suppressing coffin brought back by Su Tianqian was for Hwashiu to live in. I closed the door and came to the first floor. Su Tianqian sat at the Eight Immortals table and read quietly. Hearing my footsteps, she raised her beautiful eyes and motioned for me to sit opposite her. She opened her red lips lightly and said lightly, "Tell me, what do you want to know?" There are indeed many doubts in my heart, but now I don't know where to start. After thinking about it again and again, I said, "Master, what are the hanging coffins and the beast corpses in the sky coffin?" On the way back to Jiyuntang last night, I told Su Tianqian what happened in the coffin. Su Tianqian pondered for a moment, then slowly said, "If I guess correctly, those beast corpses are all people killed by Qingyang Evil Star, and then it sealed the souls of the deceased in the corpses of animals." I instantly understood why those beast corpses attacked Qingyang Evil Star. The issue was resolved and I asked again and again hesitantly, "Master, I have never understood why they always say that I am his reincarnation. Who is he? And which one of the 9 evils is the double-faced Buddha of good and evil? And before I leave, what is going on in the other world you saw?" I told all my doubts, hoping to get answers from Su Tianqian.